refresh where we're at on this. You've got his data that he presented to you as well. It's been going on for a little while, so we'll do that. Questions for the commissioners, and then we'll have the comments will come forward to make those on old business A. So Eric, you want to start off?
Yeah, so this has been on your agenda a couple times. If you recall, last month, we actually continued it to this evening so that we could have a meeting with the neighbors. Those neighbors were invited. I believe 3 or 4 property owners showed up to that neighbors meeting, and we went over with the applicant and the township engineer to go over each of those waivers so that the neighbors could present their concerns to the applicant and to the township engineer as well. So they are asking for 5 waivers from the stormwater basically the design requirements. What was explained at the meeting is that these aren't waivers to the functionality of the stormwater, but just how they are designed given the site constraints. And they are asking for the approval of those 5 waivers this evening. With that, we can go on to public comment or questions from the board.
Questions
Anybody?
from the commissioners first, for Eric or Steve?
I don't really have a question. I spoke with Eric about this the other day, and I understand what you told me. But doing some notes today, I agree, they look to be compliant with the ordinance code and all that. But nothing here kind of addresses the issues that affect the current residents, so my feeling is the stormwater conditions should be observed by both engineers. Kind of like after there's a heavy rainfall or even just a rainfall. And having attended that meeting, I feel that one of the engineers, and I believe it was our engineer, did not go out to the property. I think they really should understand that their concerns are more than just stormwater and just a minimal amount of stormwater runoff. I have stormwater runoff in my yard, but it quickly disappears. These people are really plagued by it. That's my comment.
Okay. Joe, do you want to start your comment?
Sure. I have 3 minutes, is that what it is? I'll be quick. I'll be in 3 minutes. My name is this on?
The green light's on?
Yeah.
Oh, you can start the clock now. Equipment malfunction. My name is Joseph Ganji, 1998 Yarnell Road. As you know, we attended the meeting, the private meeting, informational meeting a couple weeks ago, and my comments are basically geared towards what was discussed there. So my first one is the zoning board ruling. I still believe that their development on the pole part of the flag lot is against the zoning board ruling. And I would ask the board to not to have a reconsideration by the zoning board, but rather a clarification of what they meant in that 4th paragraph about sticking to the stormwater ordinances to the letter. My second comment is that the Rates property, which is immediately next door, and one of the waivers is going to bring that so-called drainage, infiltration pond right to her property line. She's a 93-year-old, she's virtually bedridden, and I think she has no idea what's going on here. And the biggest consideration from her part, or from that property's part, is the location of her well and her septic system. And at the meeting, nobody seemed to know where it was. I don't know where it is, but it's a very small lot, and it's got to be right there somewhere. Neither of the engineers could speak to it, and one of the ordinances in the stormwater management design is that you have to locate nearby septic and wells. So I think that should be addressed. This other thing about the rain guard and the infiltration basin, I think both engineers were wrong. about what they were talking about there about rain gardens. I don't think they understand what a rain garden is. So I brought in some rain garden design guides for the commissioners that you could look at. All you have to do is read the first or second page and you'll know that they're not designing a rain garden, they're designing a retention basin that just allows water to go out onto Yarnell Road. And the fourth thing I wanted to mention was that, probably a year and a half or 2 years ago at this time, we created a petition of the adjoining property owners on Yarnell Road, not on Mock Road, which is also affected, but on Yarnell Road, we created a petition signed by 25 people or so of 12 adjoining properties, to have the engineer come out, as Commissioner Peretti has mentioned, to actually come out and inspect what's going on there in the real world, not just on paper, pencil and paper, and with statistics that were taken who knows where about what kind of 100-year storm, 50-year storm that supposedly happened and might happen in 2058 or something. So those are my comments. Thank you.
Perfect time.
I have a question.
Sure.
More of a clarification. And what is the purpose of asking the engineer to come out and observe storm water conditions during a rain event? Or is that what you were kind of alluding to, having the engineer verify the
Yeah.
flows?
Yeah.
What is the purpose of that? I mean, we're already taking
It's
it.
called, Commissioner, it's called real world engineering. I'm an electrical engineer. I have to look at the equipment, I could go through all kinds of paper exercises and calculations and all, but to really know what's going on, you have to work with the equipment. And I think in the civil engineering field, civil engineers go out in the field.
Sure.
They go out and they size up what's going on, because from a piece of paper and a plan that somebody else drew, you maybe don't even know where Yarnell Road is, or how, what it looks like up there. So I think it's just good practice for one thing to go out, and then we have a greater than usual stormwater problem up there. Everybody does on Yarnell and Mock Road, particularly on Mock Road, which is drained from this property too.
Thank you.
All right, who's next?
I'm Danny Malitsky, I live at 1998 Yarnell Road. Before my time starts,
Can you please speak into the microphone?
Danny Malitsky, 1998 Yarnell Road. Before my time starts, I just want clarification on the private meeting that went on. There were neighbors that came to that meeting that were turned away because they weren't on the list. I don't know who made up the list, but only 4 or 5 neighbors were invited to the meeting. And the other neighbors that came, that are affected by this property, were turned away, which I think is terribly wrong. Okay, now I'll start. My first question is, why isn't the planning commission involved in this? We now have a planning commission, they should be involved in this. My second comment is, the rain basin, or whatever they wanna call it, they have the driveway coming down, which is the way that the water flows into the gutter out front. That's perfectly legal. They have the driveway tilted towards the rain garden and Mrs. Rates' property. That is not legal. That comes under the common enemy doctrine. It's clearly stated, you can't divert stormwater from going in its natural direction, which is what they're doing by tilting the driveway. The rain garden is proposed to be put right on the property line of Mrs. Rates. Rain gardens, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when they overflow. When the rain garden overflows, the water will go onto Mrs. Rates' property and make a soggy situation even worse. So her basement will be more wet, and like my husband said, we don't know where her well and her septic are, so who knows if they're even legally enough away from that. They claim that this will make less water for Mrs. Rates. According to what? There have been no measurements. How can they say it will be less when it rains, the water is going to go onto her property, a heavy rain, the water will go onto her property. They have the driveway tilted in her direction. How is that possibly going to be less? They don't know what less is. According to what? Less according to what? They just said it will be less.
Sorry.
The township seems very concerned about allowing Mr. Rates to develop this property. There's no problem with Mr. Rates developing this property. He has 10 acres. He can build a house on that property. He's trying to keep it within a certain size range and the most economical way that he possibly can. His economics are not our
10
concern.
seconds.
They're not our concern, whether he can afford it or not, but the commissioners can definitely allow him to build on the 10 acres. Just building in this fashion disrupts all of the long-term tax-paying citizens, residents on Yarnell Road. This will devalue our property. What you're allowing will devalue the existing residents' property.
Yes, ma'am.
Josephine Claus, 2086 Yarnell Road. I'd like to also elaborate on what, Danny Malinsky had just stated about the water. According to what the engineer said, that water would, his driveway would be in an incline and slightly tilted, which would come out onto the road as well with all the rain that we've been having. I mean, it is bad. I was out the other day on Friday and I saw big water basins overflowing. So this little pigeon pond that he's gonna be making, it's gonna overflow, there's no question about it. And there is a bus stop here. This overflows in the wintertime, it's gonna cause icing conditions. I have grandkids gonna be catching that bus. And there's other elementary kids catching that bus. This is gonna be a very bad position for the public welfare of children. Getting to the meeting, Miss Lee, as Danny had stated about taxpayers being turned away, Mrs. Bocconi was allowed to sit here and audio and videotape this meeting. I thought it was a private meeting. I didn't appreciate that whatsoever because I thought that also was a violation. Getting to the sewer line there. The sewer line, he said, is going to be 2-inch going uphill approximately 800 feet. And that also goes in an incline behind Lucy's property, my property, Joseph's property, and Gerhardt's property. But it's going to be a 2-inch sewer line, he stated. I don't know, he told me water couldn't go uphill. I don't understand how sewer can go uphill. I just find this whole thing, I mean, he gets waiver after waiver after waiver, special exception, special variance. I don't understand why he's getting all these waivers. The only thing I can come up with is he's trying to not have to go through the NPDES permit. And I do think this is what he's trying to do. You know, I want the ordinances to be followed and complied with. And that's for our welfare, our public safety, as well as the kids that are playing in mud. Like I said, power goes out, and then I get a course on toilet flushing 101. Or we get power out, and he's gonna have one pump, no backup, and this is going right up behind my property. My kids play in the backyard. I mean, this is just, this whole thing is insane. If he wants to live there, put your house back on that 10 acres. Don't cause a negative impact on us that's already there. And Mr. Reed, you also stated in the February 2025 meeting that lot was unbuildable. And then there was an email dropped off to my house, and it seemed to be that you changed position. Am I correct? You don't have to answer me, but that's what the impression I got when I read this.
10 seconds.
Okay. The other thing I wanted to bring up about was the planning commission. The planning commission needs to oversee this. Because we just keep throwing things back and forth, and nothing is getting accomplished. He wants to live there, fine. I don't care. But don't give me an impact. And that's all I ask for. And please don't cut down any more trees. There's enough dead trees.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Are there any more comments for this particular issue? Okay. Eric, did you want to add anything to those comments, or do you?
No. No, they're the similar comments that were brought up at the meeting, with the applicant, with both engineers here. I understand that I was there, answers were given to them to all of those comments. I understand that they're not satisfied with them, but those questions and those concerns were all addressed, with the applicant and both engineers.
Okay, so on your, in your packet there, you had the memorandum with the 5 items on the front page, and also you have the same 5 waivers on the LTL and their recommendations as well. On that, you have Eric's email. So I'll have a motion, I need a motion to grant the 5 waivers, and then I'll need a second, and we'll have further discussion. Is there a motion?
For discussion, I'll make the motion to grant the 5 waivers.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Hearing the second. Further discussion?
Yes, a couple of things. One thing that, I think we've been dealing with this, my timeline may be off by a month or two, for about a year. I know Trace and I had a meeting with the residents, I would say a year ago, but at least for 9 months, we've been dealing with this. Trace had come to me very early on in the process, cause he knows I live up there, and asked me how I wanted to handle this. And I said, well, I wanna handle this the best way we can to make sure we have all the information, I understand the information, and more importantly, that the neighbors understand what the engineering is. They may not like it, but at least they're explained, and I think we gave that information. I'm sorry I could not attend, I was on the phone, I heard the whole thing. I just, at least we gave them that with our solicitor there. It has been well established that there is flow coming off the property. I can tell you that's true. It has been well established. We just approved the minutes. It's in the minutes that there is excessive flows coming off the property. My goal, can I ask, is the engineer here for this? I didn't see him out there.
No, he's not here.
Neither the engineer nor the attorney are here for the applicant.
Okay. The one question I had, according to their application, the area of disturbance is 0.98 acres. When you hit 1.0, you get the NPDES permit. I'm just wondering that's awful close. And I know, the one part I didn't hear too well at that meeting when I was on the phone, I had my headphones on, was the utilities coming up the driveway. I don't know if it's aerial or underground, it's usually underground. Is that more area of disturbance to be added? I want clarifications on that. As for changing my position, I have never changed positions. I wanted to make sure I fully understand these waivers. One thing that was said at the last meeting, at the informational meeting, I didn't quite get until they said it. We did, and please, commissioners, correct me if I'm wrong, we asked them to use the 50 foot wide access rather than the 30-foot access. And that was a mandate by us, the neighbors asked us to do that, and I think it was reasonable because it's a law.
And I think it was actually a mandate required by prior decisions of this board,
Sure,
as well. Not just this board, but prior ones.
Right, so we reaffirm that, and with that trigger, that may have triggered more stormwater management, which they have to do. I think the system stinks. I think the system tells you on your property, you can't have your well within 100 feet of your septic, but does it say you can't be within 100 feet of your neighbor's well? I think the system stinks. That's why we became a commissioner, to start cutting through some of this BS. But the problem is, we are a representative government. We do not take from the minority and give to the majority. I have to support these waivers because I have no choice. If we don't support these waivers, there's consequences. Maybe we're willing to take those. I don't think I'm allowed to state what consequences are at this point. But I will ask the engineers one more time about the area of disturbance being increased by the utilities coming up. If it's underground, they usually cut along the driveway, and that's a little bit more, but maybe that's already in their area of disturbance. I wrote a couple of notes down. As for rain gardens overflowing, well, they're designed to overflow, that's why they have an overflow pipe. I have a rain garden, you can certainly come look at it. Once it reaches a certain spot, it overflows into the, gutter along the road, that's how they're designed. Again, I don't know what else to do here. I don't like the idea that I have to approve these waivers, but I'm up the creek on this one, so. I appreciate the neighbors being very compassionate about this, trust me, I understand, I live there. But I don't know what else to do but to authorize these and make sure there's inspections after the fact, which I think that they're automatically triggered at that point. And I'd love to have an opposing view from my commissioners.
I just wanna ask you, with what you said about the area of disturbance and everything, do you think we're ready to vote on this yet? I mean, do you feel it's, pertinent to check that out first?
That's an excellent question, and
Thank you.
I did ask that to the president, and I said, if I mandate triggering an MPDES, am I doing it just to harm the applicant? Is it gonna change anything? I'm not so sure, you know, I think it'd almost be punitive at this point. I don't know, Kathy, this is a tough call.
Well, I'd rather err on the side of our actual residents right now. That's
But what's
how I
the-
feel.
What's gonna change though?
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, it seems like you've had a lot more opportunity to discuss this with other people than I have.
I may be able to help here too, though, the electric, water, gas lines are all shown in this, on this plan already, inside that area of disturbance.
I know,
So-
yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
Any other more discussion? Okay, we had a motion, we had a second, we had discussion. All in favor of granting the waiver, say aye. Against?
No,
So, myself, Don, Hank, yes, Kathy, and Dave, no. Old business B,